Hi everyone, I am with Audie, like the car, I guess. Is that how you
Correct.
pronounce
It's Audie.
it? Audie, like the car? And I'm talking with him for the first time. So, Audie, tell me what you do. What is the center? Um, You sound like an Aussie, but where are you from?
I'm originally from High Point, North Carolina,
Oh,
and originally from High Point is where the furniture capital of the world is. So they did a lot of marketing and manufacture of furniture at the time. But that's how I think I've got maybe an international vision because I used to export furniture. I lived in Dubai, traveled the Middle East quite a bit. So originally, it's kind of what happened with my story was I was on a group called the Friendship Force, and we went to Japan when I was in college, and was living with a Japanese family, and they were very precious. They loved me, and they really accepted me, and even though there was a barrier of language, but then I went to see Hiroshima, Hiroshima, the museum they had there, and it had all these people that they were vaporized into the buildings, the walls and stuff. So it was just horrific for me to see that, as well as the effects of the atom bomb on children. And so that's where I've got this sort of vision for world peace. Like, how do we have communication and conversations of peace rather than division? So that's where my heart started. And as a result of that, I started and founded the World Peace Center. It's a nonprofit organization. And what we teach is the one thing lifestyle. So that's how to find what your passion and your purpose is in life that leads you to ultimate peace.
that's amazing. So, but what were you doing before that? You were selling furniture, is that what you said?
I started out, uh, I started the Entrepreneur Club at UNC Chapel Hill. It's the University of North Carolina here in North Carolina. And I started an export company there. We were exporting things to Japan. Then ultimately, I started traveling the Far East and the Middle East and Latin America and Europe to export furniture. So I was using business as kind of a mission to help people, connect and get to know me and develop relationships through business that would ultimately end in co-creating world peace. So then
This
I
was,
decided, go
sorry to,
ahead.
inter- sorry to interrupt. This was your own startup?
Yes, in college.
If somebody wants to learn more about ready-made furniture, you can be the go-to guy for that.
It's been a while since I've been in the business. I think it was back in 92. But if someone does have any interest, I'll be happy to try to connect them to the right people. A lot of that furniture is made over in China as opposed to North Carolina. So we've lost a lot of that manufacturing.
But you were sort of creating for IKEAs of the world, or
Great question. So some of the brand names that some people may be familiar with, I exported Thomasville Furniture, Henredon, Drexel Heritage, Maitland Smith that was made in the Philippines, Universal Furniture that was made over in China and Taiwan. So
so you were a marketing company which was actually reselling furniture, and you started off with North Carolina, and eventually you sold it off or you closed it.
yeah, I closed it. Ultimately, we opened an office in Dubai, and I was there for 2 years. And I know many people out there probably are familiar with the Burj Al Arab, the one that looks like the Dow, the big 6-star hotel. We bid it on that, but we didn't have the capability to do what they wanted. And I just thought, you know what? I'm single. I'm living here in Dubai. I've got my own business. But what I wanted to do was really ultimately get married and have a family. So I went back to North Carolina, started doing real estate, and had a lot of investment properties that didn't do well, quite honestly. I was investing in small rental properties. And then I started doing commercial brokerage. So buying and selling commercial properties that were related to the furniture industry. And then in 2008, 2009, we had the big financial crisis. And instead of making, it was really on par to make about $6 million one year, the 2009, with the properties that I had. they ended up tanking, and we lost 87% of our income.
Ouch.
Yes.
So did you recover from that, or you went bankrupt, or what did you do?
Great question. So my personal conviction was not to go bankrupt. And my wife and I talked about it because we came on a September, we had a conversation in 2008. And I said, Lily, we just can't afford to make our mortgage payments and our obligations for the business. We just have to stop. And so what I did was, to negotiate out of that, I wrote to all the CEOs of all the organizations that we that we owed money to. So Bank of America, Wells Fargo, a lot of the big banks, other people that we owed money to. And I said, look, I'm not trying to wake away from my obligations, but we don't have any cash flow. We don't have any money. So I need to work out a strategy that I can pay you off in the future. And so that's what I did. And so the CEOs had people respond to us, and I kept following up if they didn't respond to me. And so we were able to get what's known as a modification on our house, and we were celebrating. And one evening when we saved this beautiful old house that had an English garden in the back, and my wife and I were, cheering that we were able to stay in the house as opposed to get foreclosure or bankruptcy. And then my wife said, Audie, she's a relationship coach and she's an executive coach. And she said, I tell the women who want to get married, they'll say, well, I don't want a man that's been married before. I don't want a man who's short, fat, bald. I don't want one that's have any baggage. So ultimately what she did was she said, maybe we've been thinking that way in terms of children. Because see, I was still thinking like Abraham, that we were going to have children in our later age. And she said, God, we'll take whatever child that you give us. And the next morning, I got up from the shower and I said to my wife, I realized, Lily, I don't think that we're going to have children. So that really broke my heart. And then at 10:30 that next morning, we got a call from someone in a small group that we were in. And they said, Audie, Lily, I don't know how to tell you this, but God put this on our heart that there's a little girl that was born 2 days ago, and we believe you are called to be her parents. So God answered that prayer directly within less than 24 hours. And so we were able to have a home that was modified to be able to have that child to come to. So we've had a lot of experiences that were really neat to go through the path that I've gone through. It's been a difficult path, but I believe that's what my calling is to help people find their passion and their purpose in life.
So when was it that you were living in Dubai? What year was that?
That was between 90 to 92. I started traveling there in 89.
Wow, that was a different Dubai.
Yeah.
Very
so you were
different.
there recently, right?
I have been going to Dubai since I was 12, so
No way.
32 years. And I have been a resident for Dubai for 13 years. And my father lives there, and my parents live there, and they have a business there in Jebel Ali. And in 92 it has already started Jebel Ali, but since 2001, the game has to change because they started giving resident visas. So the whole philosophy of Dubai has just changed in the last 16 years, I guess. I mean, if you haven't been there, you might want to go just for the sake of it. It's just different. It's so different. I mean, when was the last time you were there?
It really was like probably 94. So it's been a long time.
So have you been to Jebel Ali before?
Yeah, I did. It was, I'm trying to remember the gentleman that ran it. He's now, I think, over Dubai World. Do you remember his name? I actually met him.
So if you remember Sheikh Zayed Road, it started and then nothing was there. And then all of a sudden, the on the left would be the golf course, and on the right would be Planet Hollywood and then there was nothing, and then there was Jebel Ali. And now you go all the way. There's everywhere. It's just buildings. It's just insane. It's just so different. And then where the Planet Hollywood was, on the right side, they built the media city, the internet city. And then when they were done building the city, they dug a road under there. the whole city. There's a road under there going towards the Palm, and then over and on top of, I mean, they built roads like, it's just unbelievable how it sounds crazy because they should have just planned for it before. But I think it has grown beyond their imagination in many
Wow.
ways, and it's just an amazing space now. And if you go out and hang out around the if you were going on the same road, on the left side there was an army base, and that army base
Yes.
they closed it, and that is now called the downtown Dubai, and that's where Burj Khalifa is, which is the tallest building in the world. And that base has transformed. And if you go there and you hang out, I mean, it has the world's largest mall, the world's largest building, and if you just hang out there, every single second you see a person from another part of the world. It's just phenomenal. And what makes me excited about Dubai is like being on Facebook in real time, because you're like looking at people from all over the globe very instantaneously. I mean, New York is great, but New York has a bigger filter for visas and all. And but Dubai is open, so almost everybody can come, and you see more variety of people in Dubai. And and my excitement is like when I was selling internet services in Dubai in '97,
Hmm.
when internet was brand new, when Emirates, I mean, Etisalat just came in. Probably you already left. I remember one of my customers was married to a Filipino girl, and I've
Mm.
never met any like that before. And now what is happening is that the interracial marriages among Muslims and among people who are, living there for like 20 years, 15 years, they're happening more and more and more, because it gives that experience, it gives that serendipity to happen, it gives that interaction or accidents to happen, which would not normally happen when, you know, in other places in the world as on that extent. Um, and probably when you were there were still Americans, but like the World Trade Center was the largest building, and now it's like a dwarf little thing. You're like, I don't want to be there, and it's just insane how um, it's an amazing role model country, I believe, for people to see. I mean, Singapore was, Hong Kong was, Japan was, but Dubai is just, and within 10 years, what they have done is just outstanding. And this is, and Sheikh Mohammed says it's just 10% of my imagination, and 90% is to come. So I personally think it's going to be a very, if they don't interrupt the growth, the other people around the world, I think it can be a phenomenal space for world peace, because there's the interaction is actually happening there. The interaction, the dialogue is actually happening in real time in Dubai on a very high level, on a very different level on the world. And they have, since I feel that they actually do things which, I mean, they take care of everyone, and then on top of that, they really allow those dialogues to happen, not publicly, but still in closed rooms. And then, like for example, I started the co-started the UAE Philanthropic Society,
Mm.
and so again, we would have very interesting meetups, but people were not ready for it, so we stopped doing the meetings. But it is eventually going to become a very interesting place for the planet, um, just like New York is or London is, and already Dubai is on those lists. But for the world decisions to happen, the, the, the understanding of the culture in Dubai would be very different than other places, I think. Sorry to take you off track, but because I do peace work and you do similar dialogue related stuff, and I think Dubai makes me very excited. The people are still not mature in terms
Mm.
of their own personal growth, like the people who are there, because Dubai does not allow you to live there if you don't work or if you don't make money, so they kick you out. So people there are, the primary purpose to be there is to make money, not to do philanthropy or not to do anything else. It's a money making place. It's, you go there to make money.
Mm.
So the and you can never migrate. So you can't really say, okay, I'm going to retire and I'm going to devote all my money to this cause. You can't really do that because you can't really stay there. And the freedom brand is very limited. So sorry to cut your story short and budge this in.
That was
Yeah,
beautiful. That was perfect.
yeah. And how old are you now?
How old I? That's a great question. I'm 52, and I'll be 53 in August 20th. On August 20th.
Oh, congratulations. So you now, and your son is now how old?
So I've got two daughters. I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Okay, so that incident happened like 6 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
That
Yeah, exactly 6 years ago. So her birthday's
cool.
on July 19th.
Nice. So what is World Peace Center? So
So
what
what
would
we
it,
do?
what do you,
Go ahead.
go ahead. I want to know more about this.
Okay. So I believe that as people find their passion and their purpose, that they can live in ultimate peace, and that we can, as a tribe, co-create world peace as individuals and organizations. So just like with the work that you're doing, it just takes one person, Gandhi, Jesus, Muhammad, whoever that has preaching that word of peace, that we also can be those individuals that can stimulate and have conversations of peace that transform our communities and the world around us. So what I do specifically, and I know you ask about, who makes money online, is I do either virtual or live training on the one thing. Have you ever read that book? It's called The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. I
Mm-mm.
don't know if you've heard of that. The One
Let me
Thing.
write it
So,
down.
okay. It's very similar to 7 Habits of Highly Effective People or Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's a classic that takes the laws of extraordinary success and makes them easy to implement in your life. So I've been a student of, Tony Robbins and psycho-cybernetics and Think and Grow Rich and all those motivational uh, programs and trainers out there, David Allen, Getting Things Done. But this is the most practical, simplistic way to manage your life and to live a very simple life, very productive, but also very simple. So it talks about like essentialism. What's the most important thing that I can do today such that by doing it would make everything else easier or unnecessary? So that's what you think about. And I train this. Mm-hmm.
So that's how you make money. Is that
Mm-hmm.
something you're doing?
Exactly. That's through the World Peace Center. So my purpose and passion are completely in alignment with my organization, the World Peace Center, along with what I train through the World Peace Center. So
So
like if
the one
someone
thing.
wanted to give it, go ahead.
So if I wanted to get training on the one thing, would it be basically from the one thing? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
And how much would the course cost?
So the reason I started a nonprofit is it's on a sliding scale. So for example, people in other countries, it might be difficult to come up with the amount of money that I typically charge for my clients here in the United States. So that's why we're a nonprofit, that we can get donations from other places, businesses, individuals who also want to help stimulate and have conversations of peace, that I could basically do it for either zero, I mean, I'll do it for free, or based on that person's ability or their organization's ability to pay. For example, I work with the YMCA and our church and different churches in our area, and I have a different pricing scale than I do for the IT firms that I do work with.
Cool. Have you thought of teaching the same on udemy.com yet?
So I like to do it live, and I think Udemy is recorded. Is that correct?
Correct. But let me tell you what happened the other day. I don't know if you saw the post. Somebody or people suggest ask me all the time, how do I make money? How do I make money? So one of the boys said, I can teach people how to make money from this website, one of the YouTube fish type websites. Um, and I said, sure, why don't you go ahead and make a course on Udemy? So when he went ahead and made a course on Udemy in Urdu, in my language,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, please be kind enough to share it. So I thought, if people would get help from it. So I shared it. Um, 2 days later, he messaged me a photograph, a screenshot that he had 1,600 students enrolled in his course in 2 days. That's crazy numbers. Like, I mean, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. It's just
Mm-hmm.
too good to be true. And if you can get that kind of numbers to do anything, you can create your funnel and then take your people from those to, you can then bifurcate them into like high paying, low paying, or like, for example, if somebody wants to enroll to my program, so I'm creating I mean, I have created courses online, but they're not on Udemy yet. So I'm trying to create filters so that people who want one-on-one mentorship from me, I don't want to give my one-on-one mentorship to people who can't really understand what I'm talking about, who haven't done certain courses, read certain books. It's very hard to do that, and I'm not charging anything. So it just takes, and just people just come and they don't take me seriously. So what I want to do is I want to create these courses that before you actually come and talk to me, you have to take my courses, and once you do that, then that means that you have actually read or done what I've asked you to do. Um, I have, as I said, I have those courses already, but people, um, there is no way to test them. So I tried to create like a Udemy like 12 years ago, but it was too early, I guess. We still have the website and up, but Udemy, if I can have that kind of numbers for anything, for teaching anything, that's insane. And if I was making $10 off it, it will make me a nice pocket change for doing whatever I want to do. So I suggest now everyone to whatever they know, they should just go on Udemy and teach. Could be anything. Like you said, you're not in the furniture business or in the marketing business, but you have been there. I haven't been there. So you are more authentic to me in that space than I would be authentic, in your space because you have done it. And so that's why I would suggest to make free courses or cheaper courses on Udemy, and that'll scale what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely on, because we have two courses that I'm marketing right now. One is a mastermind group for
Hmm.
CEOs or business owners, small business owners that want to take it to the next level. So you might have heard of Think and Grow Rich, but one of the success principles that they talk about is having a mastermind group. So you probably do some of that as well yourself. And
Okay.
that's $2,000 a month. It's a
Hmm.
12-month commitment, and I do it for the whole organization. So I train the CEO, but what I end up doing is I also come in and help transform the culture. Now, if you want to do it as an individual or you can't afford $2,000 a month, the program is $997, and I do that coaching and training for the one thing and how to install the one thing lifestyle in your life. But it basically gives you, instant access either through instant messenger on Facebook, or I use Voxer to be able to coach those people. So they can ask a question, whatever time, and typically, even if it's at night and they're from some other part of the world, I can give them that answer. And we have instant relationship, just like what we're doing with you and me now.
Beautiful.
But I'm going to talk
Well,
about that. Go ahead.
I'm glad I know that this is what you're doing, and I just had a chat with another friend of mine yesterday. We are trying to work out something similar. Every person I talk to, be it an author, actor, comedian, whoever, they seem to go towards the same goal, which is a peace through their way. It's just weird. I mean, this is something I've been discovering for the last 3 months. I've been noticing it that every single person I meet, somewhere in the back of their head, it's there that they're doing whatever they're doing because they want to do this, but the ultimate goal is towards like we can all live in peace and harmony. It's weird. You don't realize it, but I mean, I started noticing it. Maybe since you have a similar name, you might want to keep an eye on it. And I would definitely, I think you would find it. It's really crazy.
You said it, Rihan. I myself was thinking, how do I make all this money so that I can do something to leave a legacy whenever I was younger? And that was part of the reason I went to Dubai, was to be able to create a passive income stream and all that kind of stuff. But really, what's the ultimate purpose that you're getting the money? You don't care if you're a billionaire or millionaire or whatever, a gazillionaire. When you die, it's really about peace in your own heart, peace in your family, and peace in your community and the people that you relate with and live near. So with all the division between, our faiths, sexual orientation, countries, what color you are, everything, we're divided. And so I think people in their own hearts and minds, they say, how can I have peace in my own life inside of me? And then also with those people that I relate with. So I agree with you 100%. I'm finding that all over the place.
Cool. So I run an organization under my foundation. It's called the Institute of Peace. It's not 501(c) yet. I don't take money from anyone yet. I use my own money, which comes in from my business. I separated the entity because I wanted to make it into a 501(c) in the future. And the purpose of what I'm doing is to have sort of like an incubator. Um, I would like to think of it as an incubator for ideas which use technology to create more dialogue in the planet. So any technology which create more dialogue, we will try to fund it or we'll try to scale it. We'll try to help them do that. And the current one of the ongoing projects which we have is that we incentivize dialogue. So what we do is we give a free laptop to anyone who would interact with 500 of my Facebook friends, and then do 10 videos like what you and I are doing, like have proof of having that conversation and share that content with their friends on their Facebook. So that's all they have to do. If they do it with 500 people, they get a cell phone. If they do it with 1,000 people, they get a laptop. And we have done it with 500 people. We have a study, and it really, really helps people open up their heads, open up to new ideas, open up to new learning, open up to new business, open up, because it helps you build relationships, and those relationships eventually helps you achieve your goal, whatever that might be. It could be business, that could be peace, that could be spreading religion, whatever you think is you want to sort of plant the seed in, the soil has to be fertile enough. And that's the fertility on the relationship. And if you don't have the relationship, you don't want to be in that business. Because, for example, I mean, you have been a business person. You go to Dubai and you want to do business. You're not going to do with the business with someone you think is fishy there. So you want to first build that relationship, and then you want to do something. And here we are trying to do the same thing over Facebook. And those relationships are already pre-established. And when you reach there, you will already have a relationship with a or multiple people to do whatever you want to do.
That's beautiful.
So my mission right now is to write a book on the results, and how to add zeros in front of 500 to 5,000 and 500,000 and 5 million. How do we allow people of different faiths to be able to interact over social media and add them on their friend list? It's like, adding them as a family member. So how do you do that? And you have how it has been for you so far, but if you reach a certain number of interaction, you will start to getting notice of what's happening.
Wait, say that again. That broke up just a little bit.
Am I breaking up?
Mm-hmm. Say the last thing that you said. You
Hello?
good, Rihan? Can you hear me okay?
Assalamualaikum everyone. I'm so sorry we got disconnected. My internet got disconnected. I saw Audi coming back. I don't know if he's coming back yet, but I'm very thankful. It was lovely to meet him, and thank you for watching. Do connect him. Do add him on your Facebook. He seems like a wonderful human being and coach. His wife is a life coach in terms of relationship coach. If you're having relationship issues, you can also connect with her. Ask her and ask him to introduce you to her if you like. And don't forget to share the video. And let's keep connecting the world one person at a time so that we all understand each other. We are able to collaborate with each other. We're able to understand each other. We're able to explain things we don't understand to each other. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.